Long ago, in a faraway land, there was a desert. And in this desert, there was man. Here, humanity began. And here, they began to prosper. That is, until humanity started killing each other because they were jealous of each other's farms and tried sleeping with angels, which, considering what angels looked like according to the Bible, is kind of a terrifying thought. And also maybe considered bestiality, but regardless. God decided that his creations were a little too sinful and figured it would be best to delete his save file and make a new one. So he decided to flood the entire planet, drowning everyone. Immediately after committing actual genocide, God then promised to never flood the earth again. Until man decided to commit their biggest sin yet by letting mobile games fall into the state that they're in. I get it. A lot of people hear the words mobile gaming and immediately lose interest. I also would have a hard time taking a game whose name abbreviates to cock seriously. But you have to understand, in the years leading up to the onset of mobile games, most cell phones looked like TI-84 calculators and consoles looked like two VCRs taped together. Despite what the GameCube's carrying handle wanted you to believe, gaming wasn't really mobile at this time. Of course, there were handheld consoles like the Game Boy Advance or the PSP, but these were systems that would set you back anywhere from $100 to $200, and that was just for the system. To actually play games, you were looking at another $25 to $35. On top of that, the uses of these handheld consoles were extremely limited. Your options were play games or watch Shrek 2 in 144p. That's why the original iPhone was such a game changer. It could make calls, send texts, check email, and surf the web, all with ease. I mean, it was a phone that didn't look like something I would need to pass calculus with. That was a big deal at the time. This sounds standard to us now, but this was revolutionary back then. By far, the most revolutionary feature of the phone, however, was its ability to play games. At the announcement of the iPhone, footage was shown of Super Monkey Ball, a GameCube game, being played on iOS. Sure, it wasn't really a port of the game and had severe graphical downgrades, but this showed the power of the smartphone. As the iPhone and eventually other smartphones began to rise in popularity, smaller game developers started to realize the potential in mobile games. The iPhone was a perfect match for mobile gaming. It had significantly more RAM compared to other smartphones on the market at the time, meaning it was able to run much more complex software. On top of that, it also had a much larger display. All of these features made it a perfect fit for gaming. But what really launched mobile games was the announcement of the App Store, which would support third-party games. Essentially, anybody could create an app for purchase on the store. For better or for worse. A lot of the early stuff was pretty hit or miss. One of the most popular apps was Phone Saber, an app which made lightsaber sound effects when you swung your phone. Sure, it was neat, but it wasn't really a game. You also had Super Monkey Ball and Crash Nitro Kart 2 and Pac-Man and Sonic, but these were already games. What the App Store lacked was originality. Until Trism released and made the guy who made it like $250,000 in 60 days. Trism was a game which used the iPhone's built-in motion detection to sort tiles and absolutely blew up on the App Store. Casual fans saw it as a fun way to kill time, and game developers saw it as evidence that mobile games could make money. This led to developers flooding the market with games. This competition led to developers making more original and interesting games in an attempt to get discovered, and eventually heralded the golden age of mobile gaming. During this era, you had games like Cut the Rope, Pocket God, Plants vs. Zombies, Where's My Water? There's a reason this was called the golden age. But as we all know, every age needs a king, and that king was Angry Birds. This game was fantastic. It combined property damage with animal abuse, two of my favorite things. And apparently, everyone else enjoys these things too because the game sold really, really well. But there was a darker side to Angry Birds. The most famed app of this era would also bring something that would eventually lead to the downfall of mobile games. And I'm not talking about the movie, or the other movie, or Angry Birds Star Wars. I'm talking about the cardinal sin, microtransactions. Kinda. You see, during this time, apps cost money. If you wanted to play a game on your phone, you usually would have to shell out anywhere from 99 cents to like $1. And to a lot of people, this made sense. But Angry Birds normalized something different. It normalized releasing two versions of the game. One full version of the game for around 99 cents, and one free version of the game featuring ads between each level, which are almost impossible to close because the X is smaller than my fingers and it always ends up opening the ad and taking me to the ad. Why does this exist? The hope was that people who would otherwise be uninterested in the game would download it on the premise that it was free, become addicted to Rovio brand crack, and then download the full game in order to get rid of the ads. The problem with this business model is that children are impressively dense and could spend hours playing the first level offered in the light version of the app. 13-year-old me is included in this. Mobile games were built around the idea of having games with addictive gameplay loops, so progression wasn't really essential. The only people dumb enough to buy the full version of these games were children. And game developers took note of this. The death of mobile gaming started with Cock. Clash of Clans was the beginning of the end for mobile gaming, releasing in 2012 and pioneering the ever-popular Screaming Man simulator. The game was simple. You used purple ooze to spawn little Hulk Hogans to defend your Viking village from Chinese armies. It was all very historically accurate. Cock was free to play, but reworked the microtransaction system introduced by the Angry Birds and their many, many garbage babies. See, between invasions, you had to wait for your miniature WWE men to spawn, but this wait time could be reduced for the low price of precious gems, which themselves could be bought for the equally low price of actual real USD currency. Now, at first glance, you might look at this model and think, well, that's dumb. Nobody's going to spend money on this. All you have to do is wait and then play the game. Right? Wrong. The game was making $5 million a day. Stop having so much faith in humanity. How is this possible? Children. 2012 was a really interesting year. We got both Philip Phillips and the destruction of the world all supposedly within 365 days of each other. This was also a year when parents realized that actually raising kids was too hard and just started giving them the iPads with the stupid ARM cases on them. You know what I'm talking about. These disgusting little goblinoids are one of the main reasons why this model of gaming works. Because kids are just really impatient and really good at spending money. Well, them and Jorge Yao, who apparently spent $2,000 on gems in the game. Also, side note, apparently players like Jorge are referred to as gemmers, but that sounds a bit too much like an actual slur, so I'm not going to use that. All this has led us to the point of mobile games now. They all use the pay-to-proceed format, and they're all essentially the same game with new paint jobs at varying degrees of sexiness. For a while, people thought that mobile games were going to be the future of gaming, but that just seems incredibly unlikely at this point.
Do you guys not have phones?
Yeah, you guys all have phones, right?
Even if the games feel like real games and are genuinely enjoyable, it's hard not to feel like you're being advertised to, used, or like you're overall sacrificing your experience with the game. Promising games that try to get away from this model have been released, but in order to be financially successful, they have to have their games include an upfront payment. But years of the freemium model has turned gamers away from downloading apps that cost money up front. This has resulted in the mobile game market ending up in the state that it is now. This has been humanity's greatest sin. Well, that and killing Jesus, that one was pretty bad too, actually. It combined property damage with animal abuse, two of my favorite things. I can't believe I said that in my apartment. People are gonna hear that.